So an interesting subject to me is chess computers because for many, many years I never played a human being. I just played chess computers. And in the early days, the chess computers were not very good. And they were easily beaten and it was boring. They played the same variations over and over. But I've got to admit that I'm a big fan of Fritz. And I bought Fritz 12. I had Fritz 7 before that. I've also got, Skid, which is what you see um, when I demonstrate these games. But Fritz makes an excellent training partner. And one of the problems I have with Fritz, and I haven't figured this out yet, is that I can't seem to play him over 2200 at 5 minute chess. Like, I'll play speed chess to keep my mind sharp against Fritz. But he maxes out at 2200, and it doesn't matter what the speed level is that we play at. I've discovered that 5-0 chess at that range is pretty much my limit. I like to play in more like 5-2 or 5-3. That makes all the difference in the world to me. So I'm going to show you a game now where I play Fritz, and I for some reason I had him set at 2150. I'm not sure if maybe it was taking too long the other way or what. I've had some issues there, but the three components to beating a chess computer, in my opinion, are this. Number one, at some point they're going to blunder, and that is generally the way they even things up. The chess computer is capable of playing absolutely perfectly for the longest time, and it's very frustrating. And that at some point it's going to make a blunder of some sort. It may be obvious, it may not. It may be absolutely an egregious blunder. At any rate, I've seen chess computers play extremely well, even rated really low. Like when I had beginner students, they were playing Chess Master, and there's different personalities that they can take up and play. And this one personality, one of my students played all the time, would give up a piece or a couple pawns early in the game, and my student would get all excited, and they would play absolutely really well to the end of the game, and then all of a sudden the computer out of nowhere, even at a very low rating of like 13, 1400, which is the reason they were playing Chess Masters, because Fritz won't play that low, would just pull off like a maiden 12 or something, and depress the crap out of the student. So it was a chess computers are very poor at playing poorly. They just know how to play well. You try to teach a chess computer to play poorly, their method of doing it is play really well, really well, really well at just one terrifyingly bad move. So you look for that bad move and try to be patient. Never try to win on time, because the computer is going to play almost the same strength regardless how much time it has. And so trying to run it out of time or playing really even with it to the end is futile. The other weakness that they seem to have is that they have poor endgame judgment. They need things like table bases loaded, giant things that computers have a real hard time solving. It seems like the further into a game I get, the weaker the computer plays, especially things like rook pawn endings. Even king pawn endings turn out to be very complicated, and the computer doesn't find things that aren't very obvious. So, what I've discovered, at any rate, and it depends on what program you're playing, but I'm talking mostly about Fritz 12 now, but I've also played Stockfish and a number of others at various levels. I've discovered that the end games are their biggest weakness. Extremely good at calculating in middle games, and they come up with very surprising, strange moves and openings sometimes that seem counterintuitive but seem to work really well. And the one thing that I've learned the most about by playing computers is how well they defend. They defend incredibly well, especially while attacking. They tend to attack on a queen side, for instance, in order to defend their own king side from diagonally and behind. So all those I've learned a great deal from, and that's been very instructive. So without further ado, let's investigate this game. I played um, once again a gambit against Fritz. As you can see, black his elo is 2150 here. My elo against Fritz has been like much higher than that. I simply sign in as John Doe. This is the Mora Gambit, which is not a sound gambit, by the way, but notice how Fritz turns it down. Um, there are lots of ways to decline the Mora Gambit, but accepting it works really well. I forget, there was some grandmaster and I don't want to misspeak, it could have been Ben Larson or somebody, would laugh about the Moore Gambit, about how poor it was. So, at a certain point, it was called the Smith-Moore Gambit because there was a guy named Ken Smith who started to develop lines in it. But no matter what you call it, it isn't very good. And just some of the most basic play by black wins. You know, it's going to be a pawn down with no compensation. In this case, I like white's position fine. He's going into some sort of dragon formation, which I also see against wing gambit. I play wing gambit against Fritz as well. And I think probably queen to d3 was the preferred move here, but I have a way that I play, and Fritz has a way that he plays. And now, of course, I'm preventing, the knight hop and various things in case I get the trade-off. And once again, those strange moves, e6, giving himself all kinds of dark squared weaknesses. Deciding not to fianchetto. And this is it right here. A 2150 Fritz 12 in a 5-3 speed game, blundering. And of course, in many cases, this can throw a person into semi-panic. I mean, it looks like it's an even exchange, but if you really analyze it and do a small amount of calculating, you're going to see that this doesn't work. So we're just going to go through the exchange process. Okay, so now let's add up the score. Okay. White has 3 minor pieces and a rook. Black has 2 minor pieces and 2 rooks. Black is ahead, but white has a Zwischenzug. Namely that. All of a sudden his knight's attacked and his rook. So what's he going to do? He's going to save his rook. Now he loses a piece. Now we add them up. We have 3 minor pieces and a rook. 3 minor pieces and a rook equals 3 times 3 plus 5. That's 14. Black is 2 rooks and a bishop. That is 2 times 5 plus 3, 13. He's down. Pawns are up for white, slightly. Pawn structure is better. Well, I shouldn't really say it's the even pawns, but the pawn structure is better, and I'm about to win more. Black has decent development. White has 2 bishops. The 2 bishops matter. The 2 bishops probably add up to be more like 6.5 or 7 than 3 plus 3. So all in all, it's been a very favorable exchange. Now we basically finish out the game by being very careful. Fritz makes a few somewhat unexplainable moves again. He loves moving that rook back and forth. But I've seen computers just move rooks back and forth ad hoc and seemingly get away with it. And capturing that pawn doesn't seem very smart. Of course, I'm leaving that bishop there on f6. It's got a stranglehold. There goes the rook again. And now what we see is we're covering Fritz resigns. Now, if you look at it in an engine, Fritz has a threshold by which he resigns. And there it is. Fritz is down almost 6. So he's resigned simply because he has an algorithm in it that says get down so far and resign. It's a 5-3 game and plenty of time left. So that's basically the end of the let's go ahead and let us down 6.48 here. For bishop to d3, he's going to get a whole lot of things that happen to him over there on the king side. So that's the end of this video. And we looked for the blunder, and it was obvious. It was a string of exchanges that left him down slightly. Goodbye.